Five in the Dugout is sponsored by Woods Basement Systems.
And we begin our conversation with Mike Claiborne. You know, I'm asking you this question as we tape at 5:30 Central Time, and I just saw Nolan Gorman strike out in his first at-bat. But with that said, yesterday, a very productive day for him. What are you seeing with Nolan Gorman?
A lot of the same thing we saw last year. You remember he got off to a really slow start in spring training, put together maybe 3 or 4 games where he started to build a little confidence and was really putting the ball on the bat. And we've seen that now this year as well. He had 2 hits yesterday. He hit him off a left-hander, hit one of the longest home runs I've ever seen at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. So it's something to build on, but the strikeout, as you mentioned, is something that continues to follow him. And at some point, you've got to make a decision on, is this the guy? The strikeouts are going to be part of what he is. You hope that he can just put it in play a little bit more. And if he can do that, the way the ball jumps off his bat, he can be a very effective player.
All right, so apparently in the offseason, he lived like 6 or 7 miles away from Brant Brown. What do you know they're trying to do with his swing?
Well, one of the things they're trying to do is create a trigger, where a mechanism where he can time up pitches a little bit better, being able to see the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand. And, you know, you'll see him now, he'll wave the bat a couple of times just to try and make sure he's on time and trying to maintain a more level swing. The problem he has, he swings under the ball so much that he's looking for lift when he doesn't have to. He's as strong as anyone when it comes to having a ball get in the air. He has to make sure he bears down and has more level swings.
So what about playing time? I mean, if Nolan Arenado is your third baseman and you have to play Brendan Donovan, likely at second base, if Nootbaar is your left fielder, is he a DH, or where do we play him?
Probably see him more as a DH. One of the things you have to think about with this may be matchup situations where it may be a certain pitcher he may have a little bit more success with. Maybe he's facing more of a fly ball pitcher compared to a guy who hits it on the ground quite a bit. So I think you go one start from the other to make sure that the matchup is something he will have more success with. And that's kind of tough for a manager. It's tough for a team to be able to do that for one spot on a daily basis, and throw in the fact that he's going to see some right-handers, so you know he's going to be in the lineup for that as well. But those lefties, that's going to be an interesting challenge on how he deals with that also.
You know, it's easier said than done, but if he did cut down on the strikeouts and you have this kind of power, I mean, if he got 550 at-bats, he'd probably hit 35, but the strikeouts are, as you mentioned at the top, are the issue.
He may hit 35 and he might strike out 200 times. And when you look at the trade-off really doesn't work, because the strikeout is a rally killer. A strikeout does not advance runners. You know, if he just got the ball in the air a little bit more, fly balls, maybe he can move a runner along. But the strikeout has certainly not been his friend. And had he been in the lineup on a regular basis last year before he was hurt and then they sent him down, he would have broken the team record for strikeouts. He was well on course.
So the guy he'll be competing against for the left-handed DH spot is Alec Burleson, who also homered yesterday. I know he had overall a pretty solid season last year. He slumped at the end. What are you seeing with Alec as we speak?
Trying to really have a better understanding of the strike zone. I mean, every time he makes contact, he hits it hard. He has to make sure that he gets himself in a position where the pitcher's going to get him out instead of him swinging at bad pitches and giving at bats away. He's a very talented player. He was the most productive player offensively the team had last season, and I don't think that's going to change. I think if he gets a chance to get some regular at-bats, he'll be as effective as he was last year, if not better.
Big news in Major League Baseball happening just hours ago. Garrett Cole, Tommy John surgery, out for the year. Sonny Gray's on the mound for the Cardinals. They are a team that definitely needs, a strong right-hander in that rotation. What do you think? Is Sonny Gray a Cardinal all season long?
I think so. You know, he had his chance to leave in the offseason, and he turned down the opportunity to move on. Remember, Sonny was already pitched in New York once, and that didn't go as well as maybe most people would have liked for it to be. And by the way, he controls it. I mean, he's a 5-10 guy. He's got all those things working for him. So I don't think Sonny Gray's going anywhere, because he also has a no trade in his contract.
All right. Anything else to look forward to in the next couple of days?
I think this week is going to be an interesting week because the battles are now starting to shape up. You have the outfield situation with what Victor Scott has been able to do. Michael Ciani's still trying to find his way. But I think from a utility standpoint, between Luke and Baker, Jose Fermin, and also a young man, Jose Barrera, he's a guy you better pay attention to. He's a long, lanky young man. He was a top prospect in the Cincinnati organization a couple of years ago. He can play the infield. He can play the outfield. He's got a very good throwing arm, and he also can hit for a little power.